Hi guys, and welcome back to the Afro Boss Lady Show. This is your host Jenny, and today we're really going to continue the conversation about domestic violence. Today is really going to be a session about, I want to say about African women, African girls, what we told when we were actually younger and what our society portrays.
A person of my caliber, being an activist, fighting for liberation, and when you get home, you find another fight on domestic violence.
A UN report also says Africa has been highlighted as the continent where women run the greatest risk of being killed by their intimate partner or a family member.
As so many of you responded to the survey and have left so many comments. I've had more than 100 comments on the topic. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of the comments that you guys have left. So the first comment is, it is sometimes encouraged by family members because of tradition. Some parents have so much pride and would prefer their children, especially the girls, to stay in an abusive relationship. That is one comment that I actually received, and I'm going to go ahead and read the second one and we can talk about it. It shouldn't happen, period. No one has the right to abuse another. Society tells women in Africa to manage and stay in abusive relationships / marriages. Many women stay in abusive marriages / relationships, praying that the partner would change for the sake of the children and because what the community tells them. I know so many people. I grew up in Africa, Cameroon, and by the age of 15, I actually had girlfriends of mine that were in abusive relationship with boyfriends that were barely 16 or 17. So it is accepted by the culture. Back then, I want to say 30 years ago, it was accepted. 15 years ago, it was accepted. Is it still accepted today? Yes. And I'm hoping that I'm going to have men on this platform, because that's really my goal, to have at least to have men share their opinions and some of the insights, what is happening in their own manhood, their own community. But it's really going to be, I think it's going to be an exciting topic. If you guys want to see men on the platform, let me know. But going back to the way we grew up in Africa, looking at, I'm reading comments like this and I can actually relate. I wasn't personally abused when I was in Cameroon, but I experienced the abuse through my other friends. I remember I had this really amazing, beautiful friend. She was 15 at the time, and I think I was 14. And she would come to school with, blue eyes, and always one problem after the next. The story that she used to tell the teachers was that her dad was abusive. I think it was until I actually went to visit her at her home. Her mom was a single mother, and her mom sat me down and basically told me, you have to really advise your friend, because I'm doing my best, but she's still in that abusive relationship. And she's been having bruises on her face, on her body, and it's not her dad doing that to her, it's actually her boyfriend. And guys, keep in mind that she was only 15. And I think at the time the boyfriend was 17. So that's just an example of what, even though your parents, some of our parents, some of our mothers are against this act, but societies as a rule accept it. So how do we, as this, we're in 2020, this is not no more 1990 or 1980. We're in 2020. At the end of the day, we have to be able to invite men into those conversations. So if you are a woman, whether you are African or not, you have to have those type of conversation with your partner. It shouldn't be a conversation that you're only having with your girlfriends, because so many of us are actually suffering in silence. And we are not talking about it because we are ashamed, because we feel humiliated, because we don't feel like we're going to get enough support from our family members, from our friends, because some of those relatives are actually going through their own abuse. So it's not really a matter of, because it is accepted, because it is the norms in our society, it should be okay. It's not okay.
For most everyone in Black culture, the church is where you go for, like, as your moral compass. We make up, such a large, like, this huge religious population. And I think also that probably feeds into it as well, because so much in the church is about, keeping things within the family until, better or worse within marriages, and you don't want to break up the home. But women are suffering in silence.
As more and more people talk about this,
African men will often tell me, oh, because you've left Cameroon or because you've been abroad, that's the reason why you don't really see it as acceptable, but this is the life that we live. It's really something that even as a child, I saw it happening with some people that were around me. I saw it happening with my girlfriends. I saw it happening with the neighbors. I mean, so many things. And it was always something that I used to fight for. We have to be able to have those conversations. I know it's really uncomfortable when you bring men into the conversation, because more time than often they are the abusers. So I know many of them will not want to actually initiate the conversation. Many of them may even agree with the treatment that women are actually going through. But it doesn't remove the fact that if we as women, we want this to change, we have to be willing to actually open the conversations and talk about it. The more we accept it, the more we actually give permission for those men to repeat the same cycle. Because the African woman is supposed to be the strong woman. She's supposed to carry on her shoulders her parents, the generation before, the current generation, and the generation after. She's supposed to ensure that, people in the house or kids, everybody's educated, the well-being is actually good. The African women, as we know it, is supposed, according to African society, is already supposed to be a strong woman. I mean, it's as if we are not even given the choice to even be weak. And what do we even call weak? Because I don't call a woman who is saying, I don't want to be mistreated. I don't want my kids to be mistreated. I don't see that woman as being weak. But unfortunately, in our society, we still see that woman as being weak. Because to a certain extent, if other women have stayed in marriages that were abusive, why are you giving up this fast? You should have just stayed in it, expecting that maybe one day he's going to get better. One day he's going to stop drinking. One day he's going to stop hitting you. One day he's going to stop. And we just keep on creating this cycle.
I found with my own situation with domestic abuse is that it gets worse and worse. Absolutely. Each incident gets worse and worse because you've allowed that person to do one thing, and now they take that, and then they take another inch and then another inch. The next thing you know, you're in the hospital. Because if you got,
I would really urge others to come out of those abusive relationships, because really many people have died while they're sitting there thinking that everything will be okay. So maybe he will change, but they never change. Instead, you lose your life.
If we want our kids to have a better condition, to live in better conditions, to have a better tomorrow, to not repeat the cycle of abuse, we have to be able to actually show them what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship. Many women who actually stayed in those abusive relationships are not financially independent. And I know that to be a fact when it comes to the African culture, because for so long women were not supposed to be professional, career-driven. So we're still building, and I think our parents' generation and this generation is changing that narrative. So as we're changing the narrative, we also have to change some of the traditions that we believe used to be the way it used to be, because XYZ said women are supposed to be treated this way. There has to be a moment in time where African women too have to be like, let's talk about it. So everybody is uncomfortable with it, right? Whether you're a woman who is abused, a woman who knows somebody who's abused, a man who doesn't abuse anybody, or a man who does abuse somebody, is really a sensitive topic. So on my platform, I'm talking about everything womanhood, whether it's business, relationship, well-being, spirituality, everything that concerns women. If it's going to improve your life, I'm going to talk about it. So this is just one of those topics that we have to really be, we have to open the conversation. So my advice to you guys today is to really look into your own life and look into your own relationship. If you are in a relationship or if you are aspiring to be in a relationship, your homework today is really to ask yourself the question, am I, to a certain extent, accepting some of the things that I believe to be wrong, but because society told me this is what you're supposed to live, you are an African woman, in part, I am okay with it. As much as it's going to be uncomfortable, as much as it's going to show you that maybe somehow your upbringing, your childhood shaped you in a way where this is acceptable, I want you to ask yourself, am I willing to actually live the next 10 years with a man who's going to abuse me all the time, who's going to get drunk and abuse me, who's going to get drunk and rape me, who's going to, I don't know, who's going to get angry, lose money, do something, and then put his anger on me. So let me know down below if you're going to have a conversation with your partner, with your brother, with your father, or anybody, any man in your life, if you are actually opening the conversation, or if you're already having those conversations. Let me know your own experience, the perspective. And if you guys have any men that you know that will want to be on the platform, that will want to give their own perspective on the subject matter, let me know down below. My next guest is going to be a dear friend of mine. She's a mother of 3 boys. I want her to be on the platform so that we can really talk about how do we raise men of this generation to not repeat the cycles of their parents or the grandparents. So as African women, as boss ladies, as Afro boss ladies, as black women, we have to do better. We have to talk to each other. If you are in your own house, your own circle, and you are suffering in silence, talk to somebody. Don't wait when things get worse, because most of the time the men who are usually the abusers are usually respected by society, by family. Those are usually most of the time the sweetest men to society. So if you are living your own experience, don't be ashamed. You did not do anything wrong. Don't feel like you are less of a woman because you are being treated this way. Open the conversation, talk about it. If you have a partner who is not willing to discuss this topic, then find a brother, a sister. The more we express what us women want, the more the men will have to actually align. Because at the end of the day, if your standards are up here and they are up here, then we have to get up there. But you have to stick to your standards. So guys, I hope this video was really helpful. I have so many comments which I'm going to discuss in the next video, so stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, any other topics you want me to have on the platform, let me know. As usual, if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.